The Rock, 1996 action film from Michael Bay, his second ever feature film following Bad Boys. This stars Sean Connery, Nicolas Cage, and Ed Harris. Was nominated for an Oscar for Best Sound. The story starts with General Hummel, played by Ed Harris. He's a decorated war hero who is fed up and disillusioned with the way the American army treats its soldiers, particularly soldiers under his command who died doing black ops for the U.S. With the government refusing to officially recognize that and provide compensation for their families. Feeling that he's exhausted all legal options, he takes things to the next level and takes over Alcatraz with a group of soldiers loyal to him. They take hostages, they announce that either the US government pays up or they fire missiles containing a deadly chemical at San Francisco, threatening to kill hundreds of thousands of people. The only way to stop them is to send a team of operatives into Alcatraz through the sort of secret passageways to infiltrate the facility and disarm the missiles. This includes Stanley Goodspeed, played by Nicolas Cage, who is an FBI chemical weaponry expert, and John Mason, played by Sean Connery, an ex-SAS operative who is the only person ever to escape the Rock and therefore the only possible guide in. So I'm really conflicted about this film because there are some things I really loved about it and some things I really don't. And it mostly boils down to the fact that I felt like there's enough meat and interesting moral dilemmas and socio-political commentary about treatment of soldiers and casualties of war by the government to make it a very compelling story. But then that is also bogged down by silly humor, action movie one-liners, over-the-top stunt sequences, and Nicolas Cage being his 1990s unhinged self. And reading about the movie's production, it seems to me that I am right on the money. The script is said to have been a more serious one originally, with most of Cage's dialogue and lines being improvised and most of the jokes added during filming. Also, the car chase sequence in San Francisco was inserted because Bay thought the movie was going too slow in the second act. So I guess there is a world out there where this could have been a more dramatic, grounded film playing to its strengths. Hamill's storyline is absolutely fantastic. One of the best antagonists I've ever seen, in the sense that you fully understand and sympathize with him. He's repeatedly shown to be reasonable and not actually evil. He's certainly not selfish, and he tries to control the situation right up until the end when his own people get out of, mutiny against him. At no point in the film does he do anything truly despicable or dishonorable or irredeemable. In fact, he is explicitly shown to try and keep things level while achieving his goals. And he even says outright he was bluffing all the time. He never intended to hurt any of the innocent people. I think uh, it's a very sobering take that in the face of a massive terror attack threat, the US government in this film doesn't even consider for 1 second paying up the ransom, even though we are told that they do have a slush fund with that exact amount of money available. And even though you could argue, the payout to the families is absolutely justified. On the other hand, you also sort of understand that from the perspective of someone, if this threat is taken seriously, which it is, this guy needs to be stopped somehow. And so the exchange, which was probably my favorite scene in the film, the exchange between Hummel and Commander Anderson about how the latter swore an oath to stop all enemies of America, foreign and domestic, hits very hard. It's an unsolvable position that two mostly honorable men find themselves in. I think Sean Connery is endlessly charismatic in his role, and I love the fan theories that have been going around for years that his character is unofficially James Bond, who has been captured years earlier and illegally held by the US. Plus, this is also kind of another fascinating subplot right there about how it is government overreach by the US to hold this guy without trial for such a long time. The other side of the coin is, as I said, the weird amount of jokes, one-liners, Nick Cage's entire performance, which comes straight from a different film, like a totally light-hearted romp, and it stands in contrast to both Connery and especially Harris. I'm not a fan of the numerous explosions and the action being more over the top than it probably should have. I also think the final act feels a bit stretched out. Also, complete sidebar, the music was composed partly by Hans Zimmer, and there is one theme in here which is 100% an early version of what later became the Pirates of the Caribbean theme. You cannot mistake it for anything else. It's there, and it's a really strange experience to recognize it in a different film. Um, all in all, I think this is a flawed but still entertaining movie. There's a lot to like, and even with its shortcomings, it is a fine viewing and probably one of Michael Bay's best works, if not the best. Still, one wonders how differently the movie could have turned out with a more serious and grounded approach.